Let's bring in Kate Knibbs, a senior writer for the tech magazine Wired. Kate, great to have you on the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Kate, how have journalists used the Internet Archive, specifically the Wayback Machine, to really set the record straight?
Yeah, journalists use it in a lot of different ways. It's a really important tool for accountability journalism because it's a way for you to look at the evolution of a website and basically prove that somebody said something, even if they've, gone through and edited their website, taken data off of the website. I'm saying website a lot, but this is an archive of websites, so it's appropriate. But yeah, there have been a lot of great investigations that have really relied on the Wayback Machine for evidence that people said what they were trying to hide that they said. The tool has also been used a lot in court cases. This is a super important source of evidence for lawyers when they're presenting a case in court. They are able to point to snapshots compiled by the Wayback Machine to make their cases before judges. So it's used in a lot of different contexts. And just recently, USA Today did a really incredible investigation into data about immigration and customs enforcement in the United States that had been obfuscated by the federal government. And the way that the reporters were able to make their case and make the story happen was by going through the Wayback Machine. And I actually talked about that specific investigation in a recent story that I wrote because it was a little ironic that USA Today did this incredible journalism, but the company actually currently blocks the Wayback Machine from archiving its own stories. So even though it's proven to be a very valuable tool for their journalists, the publisher has decided to, not participate in the archiving process.
Right.
And
that is the irony of it all, right? So what are news outlets, Kate, trying to do here? What are they trying to stop?
So right now, the Wayback Machine, one of the reasons why it is so important is because it crawls as much of the indexable internet as it possibly can, and it takes snapshots of websites, and then it archives it. And so the public can look up what these websites said on certain dates. Okay. A bunch of different publishers, at least 23, if not more, are currently blocking the Wayback Machine from crawling their content and then putting these snapshots online. They're doing so for a very sympathetic and very real reason. They are worried that the Wayback Machine's data is being crawled by AI companies and that the Wayback Machine is basically a backdoor for AI companies to scrape all of their content and then feed it to their AI tools and do so without their permission, without paying them. So this is really, in the publisher's view, an effort to protect their intellectual property. And, publishers have every single reason to be concerned about their intellectual property. It's just, this is a really unfortunate situation where a valuable tool is collateral damage in this larger fight between online publishers and AI companies.
Right. So I hear that you see their reasoning, even though it's a complicated situation. Kate, a lot of journalists are against this move by their own news outlets. How detrimental would it be if more news outlets follow suit and don't let, the web crawler do its work?
It will be a huge, huge loss, not only just to journalists, but to everyday people who are impacted by what journalism digs up. Because without this tool, we are losing vast chunks of digital history. Most news reporting takes place on the internet right now. Most releases of government data, we're not getting mailed spreadsheets of government data. All of this exists on the internet.
Right.
And the Internet Archive is really the only organization offering this service at the moment. So kneecapping the Wayback Machine is kneecapping our access to digital history.
Yeah, kneecapping is a strong word. That's very interesting. I wonder if the kneecapping access to the Wayback Machine is similar to when governments, either try to remove public data or change it.
Yeah, right now, the best opportunity we have to save data that governments or, other powerful entities want to hide is to do something like look through the Wayback Machine and see what they originally had out there before they decided to hide something. It's just basically a machine for accountability. And Journalists really care about that because we use it on a day-to-day basis, but everyone really should care about it because it's a serious loss to the general information ecosystem.
Kate, how will it change your work if this keeps happening, more limiting of the Wayback Machine?
I straight up won't be able to report certain stories, and I'm not alone in that. There are a lot of opportunities we have, especially fact checkers. Fact checkers everywhere will be sobbing if this machine goes away because it's such a good resource when you want to prove that something, said what you're saying it said. I was reporting a lot a few years ago on the rise of AI content farms. And sometimes when I would start reporting the story and would be reaching out to the owners of websites, they would try to cover their tracks quickly. And, I would be taking screenshots, but if I forgot to take a screenshot, I would know that I had the Wayback Machine to rely on so that I could point and say, see, I wasn't making this up. This is really what it said at some point. Yeah, so it's just a tool. Journalists who feel very stridently that their intellectual property should be protected, can have that belief, but also really appreciate what the Wayback Machine does and not want to lose it.
Right. And it's out there for journalists, it's out there for the public, it's out there for all of us free of charge. So it is a big deal. Kate, great to have you on the program today.
Thanks so much.